2 super rare collab ships will be absolutely meta for this season of Meta Showdown. Yes, gold collab ships, better than all the shiny rainbow ships. To understand why, we need to read the Yorktown meta boss's skills, which is a good idea for any difficult boss. But wait, why read the in-game text, which may have ambiguous text, incorrect translations, or sometimes even flat-out incorrect information, when this YouTuber has created a document? I have put some clarifications and strategies here. You can get it from the description. Gaze into Eternity is quite simple. Every 5 seconds, all allies get -3% AA and -3% evasion, and the closest ally to the boss gets an additional -3%. This keeps on stacking, so after 75 seconds, all allies have -45% AA and -45% evasion, with the Vanguard ship's AA and evasion being even lower. The AA down is alright if you have a bunch of +13 AA guns, since Yorktown's planes have low HP and die to a sneeze. The evasion down may be a problem, but not to the extent of requiring Eldridge. Then we have Domain Expansion, 40 seconds into the battle. Allies and Yorktown all take 3% more damage. This is the same thing that Helena meta does, except that Helena's is 25% damage while Yorktown's is 3%. I have no idea what the -5% in the skill name means for both Helena and Yorktown. Finally, the most important skill is Philosophy of the Unobserved. Yorktown takes 60% less damage, but for every ally who's alive, the boss takes 15% more damage for up to 12 allies. That counts ships and summoned minions, not airplanes. Each of these sources are multiplicative, so for 6 allies that is 3% more, times 60% less, times 90% more, which is 78% damage taken by the boss. So effectively, each summon is worth about 6% fleet-wide damage while it's on the field. Now, what good collab ships might have summons? Obviously, Kurumi is one, and the other is Momo Belia Deviluk from last year's To Love Ru collab. It's time to level 1 or both of these ships if you haven't already. Also check my Kurumi review, as she is super cracked in mobbing. Here are some other ships with summons. Bismarck's 5 has half a summon because Geryon is up every other salvo. Laffy 2 has 2 summons, Momo has 2, Kurumi averages 2 because she has to stack up the time and summon them. Duisburg has 2 as well. And then we have some worse ships like Rodney Meta because you're giving up a rainbow main fleet ship or a gold main fleet ship doing damage. Yudorov Meta has 1, Kawakaze has 1, the meta one. Yoshino also has 1, but again gold main fleet ship, and also the summon just disappears really quickly. Kaiho Meta also gold ship, and some other bad ships I'm not gonna mention. These ships have things that look like summons but aren't actually summons, like Tashkent's fairies are not summons, and Nana's penguin thingies are not summons as well. Now let's get to the Vanguard ship tier list for Yorktown Meta Showdown. Helena is S+ tier for weaker players, as usual. 60% chance to do 40% more damage for the whole fleet. It averages out to 24% fleet buff, less than that because it has less uptime for the Vanguard. Such a huge buff is basically worth like 3 or more summons, and her con is consistency. That's why for the strongest players who can kill Yorktown meta without Helena, they wouldn't want to use her. Everything else is bad about her as well. Kurumi S tier. For 3 salvo or 3 airstrike fleets, you can expect 1 summon for the first strike, 2 for the second strike, and 3 for the third strike. And for 4 salvos, you can probably expect 1 and 2 and 3 and 3. Her downside is that there's some RNG for movement. Sometimes you won't have 2 summons by the second strike, but I don't think it'll be a big problem. Momo and Laffy 2 are both S tier for CVs only. Let's go back up here because they summon every 20 seconds, but their summons last for less than 20 seconds, which means that 4 salvo BBs are just gonna miss that timing for most of the battle, and they'll only work with 3 salvos BBs or 3 strike CVs, and 3 salvo BBs are not really good. So basically they're locked into 3 strike CVs. They both have 2 summons plus some other small buffs. Then we have Trafalgar S-. Her evasion rate is worth about 12% fleet buff for the main fleet at least, and then more for Lion, so it's worth about 2 summons overall. Everything else about her is also good. Reasonable survivability and decent damage. Duisburg also has 2 summons with good uptime unlike Momo and Laffy. They're every 15 seconds and last for 12 seconds, so they're staggered from 4 salvo BBs, but everything else about her is bad. She has worse damage and worse survivability. Then we have the usual bossing Vanguard ships, Bimith and Z52. They have high DPS and direct buffs, but the buffs aren't as strong as just having 2 summons. So against Yorktown meta in particular, they're not as good as the summoners. Eldritch won't be needed for survivability, so she's basically there just for the slow, helping BBs land their shots. But when you have Bismarck or Soyuz, this is just not worth it because Eldridge has really bad DPS relative to the others on this list. As a bonus, I'll now walk you through these untested example fleets. Subject to change at level 15, of course. You can quit now, but I think there are some min-maxing details you could use. First fleet is just brute force without bringing summons, or trying to bring summons. Bismarck is there because she's good. Mech Bis Lion is now the standard BB fleet for basically every armor. Take AFCT and HSFCR for 4 salvos. With the Raffaello gun, Lion will miss the 12th volley, but hit the 11th volley. We can give her auto lure so that she finishes 12 volleys and keeps up with the other 2 BBs. And standard BB fleet Vanguard, Plymouth, Helena, Trafalgar. If we want to use Momo now, we can't use 4 salvo BBs, so here are 3 salvo BBs. Imagine having 2 plus 13 460s. Momo is main tank instead of Kurumi, even though Kurumi tanks much better. Putting Kurumi in the off-tank position increases her chance of trapping the boss in her time capsule, which means that she gains stacks quicker and is more likely to spawn the clones faster. Same standard for salvo BBs as above, but we can't bring Momo, so we should bring Plymouth or Duisburg, and then Kurumi still works. I put Kurumi main tank here so that Plymouth can go greedy for damage, but if Momo can main tank, then Plymouth can main tank as well, so you could swap them around again. Soyuz Nahimo Lion 3-strike CV fleet, except that there's only 1 CV. This needs low BB reload and high CV reload, otherwise you'll need to change one of the LA9s to a BFG. Unfortunately, because BBs are so fast, we need to get rid of the AFCT for a black shell, and that is a big loss in stats. But to sync them with Nahimov and Momo, it'll be worth it. Same Vanguard fleet. We can also swap out one of these Vanguard ships for Laffy too, like here. Laffy, Momo, Trafalgar. Here Trafalgar isn't buffing any Lion, this is Sonaru, but Trafalgar still gives the 10% evasion rate debuff, which is pretty big. And we're replacing Lion with Fritz because we only have 1 Raffaello gun. In this fleet, Soyuz is using a Champagne gun instead of Mecklenburg gun because the mech gun is too fast. So here, by kicking Lion off the fleet, we free up the Raffaello gun for Soyuz, but the cost is now that we need 4 LA9s, which most people won't have. But anyway, if you don't have 4 LA9s or Mech Bis Lion, then you probably aren't one-shotting anyways without Helena. These are just the top-end example fleets. And again, low BB reload and high CV reload. Here, I forgot the orientation. Laffy should be main tanking, not number 3. So swap Laffy and Trafalgar. And those are all the fleets I've prepared. We'll see next week how easy it is to one-shot Yorktown meta. So don't forget, level up Momo or Kurumi and be prepared.